Hello, I'm Asami, a bilingual gallery teacher at the Carter Museum. Today on Cooped Up with the Carter, we will be looking closely at The Fisherman by George Bellows. This is one of my favorite works of art because I love talking about sports in art. George Bellows, the artist, was a semi-professional basketball player and also enjoyed being outdoors and playing baseball and going fishing. That's why some of the major themes in his creations are about sports and fitness. His art reflects his love for physical competition, which I think is extra evident in The Fisherman. So now let's take a closer look at the painting. What are you seeing? I'm seeing a man going fishing. Maybe he's trying to catch his dinner. What do you think? What kind of fish do you think he could be catching? Now, this might not look like the traditional image that you think of when you think of going fishing. I think of a beautiful sunny day with a blue sky, sitting on a boat, waiting patiently and quietly to catch a fish. But here we have a very different visual. What do you think about the water? The colors are very distinctive. There are some bright greens and some beautiful blues. Does this give you any hint of what the water could feel like? And now let's glance up at the sky. Is it a peaceful sunny day? What do you think the weather's like? Would you want to go fishing alongside this man? I think that if I was looking for an adrenaline rush, I definitely would. So let's look at how this man is standing. He's standing on some pretty big rocks, and those rocks, they are constantly being hit by waves. It looks like the water is kind of rough and choppy. So what are some things that you think he has to worry about? I think he has to be cautious not to lose his balance, and he also has to keep an eye on those incoming waves. If we look at his posture, we can see that he has 1 foot forward, which kind of looks like he's bracing himself, and definitely that he's thinking about his stance. Do you think maybe he's been knocked down before? At the same time, he also has to be worried about the actual fish that he's trying to catch. Do you think that he's gonna catch a lot? Have you ever gone fishing? What was it like? Was it similar to Bellows' painting? Thank you for spending some time talking about The Fisherman with me. Maybe today you can go outside and play your favorite sport with your family.
Alright, if you're ready to get creative, we're going to do a watercolor painting today of some waves and rocks inspired by George Bellows' The Fisherman. Alright, so to get started, we're going to draw 3 different rocks, and these rocks can be kind of anywhere on your picture and any size, any shape. I'm going to do one right here at the bottom to look like it's close up. As we get farther towards the top of the page, the rocks are going to look like they're farther away. So I'm going to do another rock here. The only thing you might want to consider is doing them kind of flat at the bottom. I'm going to do one more over here. Now in the painting, George Bellows looked like he was standing on the rocks and the waves were kind of crashing, and so now what we're going to do next is the sort of splashing part of the waves. So we're just going to do sort of a wave, like a curved line, and then have a bunch of curved lines along the bottom. We're going to do another one here. Line that curves up, and then curved lines along the bottom like that. And we're going to do another one here, like another wave shape, some curved lines along the bottom. Now, each of these sort of like crashing waves is going to have more curved lines that are coming off or down from underneath the splashing part. So you're going to do like a wave there, a curved line coming down here, and then I'm going to do a curved line coming down from this one too. And I'm going to take those curved lines and continue them and imagine that they're going off the edge of the page over here. Now this one's going behind this rock, so I just imagine that it's going to pop out over here. This one's going behind this rock, so I'm going to imagine that it's popping out over here. And so then I'm going to do that, kind of repeat those lines. So I've got one coming down here, I'm going to do one that's parallel to it there. Do another one here, almost like stripes in that whole section. I'm going to do the same thing for this wave. Curve down. Again, that's going behind that rock. It's going to come out over here. Go here, behind that rock. Just like that. Now I can do it all the way down. All the way down. And then I'll do the same thing here. I'll imagine that there's a line going down here and it's popping out over here. Okay? So now I've got those big waves that are kind of crashing around those rocks, just like in George Bellows' painting where he's standing and those big waves are crashing in front of him. We're going to start adding our watercolor. So you can just get a regular tray of watercolors. Let's do the rocks first. We're going to do brown. Okay, so we're going to use the brown for those rocks. So once you get kind of a simple light coat of brown on these rocks, then you can decide if they maybe need some darker spots or shadows or anything like that. If you look at George Bellows' Fisherman painting, there's some light and dark shadows on these rocks that kind of give them some shape, and so I'm going to put just some darker areas in. The way you make the watercolor darker is just using or sort of swishing your brush around in the paint more. Alright, now I got some nice rocky looking rocks. Next we're going to tackle our water, and we're going to paint the sort of stripy parts of these waves. And we're going to use green. There's a lot of green in the water in George Bellows' Fisherman painting. So we're going to use our green and kind of trace along these lines that we drew earlier. You're not filling in the whole thing, you're just kind of doing a stroke of paint that follows the line that you made with your pencil earlier. You can do that for each of your pencil lines in the waves. To do this, we're kind of taking a technique or borrowing a technique from Japanese woodblot printers who would do waves with these sort of almost like stripes where it was, and it would go from dark to light and give you the sense of a wave kind of building up out of the water. Gave you a sense of the direction that the water was moving in. Okay, now if you want, you can kind of water your paint down a little bit more so that you just have a thin wash of green, and you can go and kind of blend those greens into the white parts of the waves so that it's not so much like a stripe as it is kind of gradually going from dark green to white. And you can even, if you want to, because it's not all green in the water, you can mix in a little blue now. So we're going to get a little blue paint. Now we need to kind of do that ominous, cloudy gray sky that we saw in the Fisherman painting. So we're just going to use our black paint, but we're not going to do it super dark. We're just going to use quite a bit of water and just a little bit of paint. And if it's too dark like mine is, you're going to add some more water. Just add water and spread it out if you want it to be a little lighter. Okay. This is called a wash. So we're just washing it over with water and just using a little bit of paint to give us that kind of gray sky. Now don't paint over your caps of your waves because you want those to be nice and bright white against the background. Now the last thing you can do if you want to is to use some of that black and put some little shadows on the bottom of your white caps of your waves, okay, to make it really sort of dramatic. And you can maybe emphasize some of your lines of your wave that way too. Just putting some little black lines just on the underside of our waves, just to kind of make them stand out against the background. If you want, you can put a little bit of outlines on those rocks too, anywhere that you want there to be like a darker shadow to give you some emphasis. And that's it.